Welcome to KJ plus PC plus 1. It is our inaugural episode. I've got the wonderful Mr. Cox here.
Hey, everybody.
From the Pingree Middle School. Your official title is the Middle School Director.
Middle School Director.
Here at Pingree. So tell us a little bit first about the size of the community here. And
Sure. We are a grade 6 through 8 middle school, 270 students strong, 90 souls per grade. Great, robust student body. Great kids, high achieving, fast living in the most positive sense of the word. Very involved in a lot of activities, both in school and outside of school.
Great. And my name is Kenny Jahng. I'm your host here with Phil Cox, and what we're trying to do is embark in some conversations. I myself am a Pingree parent.
Yep.
I've got a son in the 3rd grade and a Form 1 daughter here with Mr. Cox.
Right.
I'm trusting you during the day with her.
And hopefully we're doing a great job.
So recently at one of the PSPA events, Mr. Cox went through some of the aspects of social networking, of how it actually impacts our kids, and we had a great discussion there. We thought that we just sit down with Mr. Cox here today and share a little bit of the wisdom that he brought to the table during that conversation, because the parents just loved that presentation.
Well, thank you. That's awfully nice. It's always fun to work with the parents and to partner with them in a variety of topics. Obviously, social networking is a huge part of our lives. Yes. For our kids, for the adults as well, but for the kids too. They are really they're really living in it, and it's not without its challenges and some downside for the kids.
Definitely. And I think one of the things that parents appreciated at that meeting was the fact that you actually brought some practical, like, handles to hold on to for some of the parents. And I'd love to just go through some of those tips or observations. And I guess maybe let's just start with what are you seeing? What's the impact of the social media, this thing that is happening? It's becoming part of their lives. But what are you seeing observationally in the middle school?
Sure. Middle school is a challenging time. It's a great time. It's exciting, but life is coming at kids pretty quickly. They're going through a lot of changes themselves, developmentally, and then socially. There are a lot of tensions among friend groups, new friendships being formed, old friendships being broken. It's a really tough time. So, particularly for a community like ours, where we draw from so many areas around New Jersey, social networking really is a way for our kids to connect with one another and stay connected and remain in touch. That's a great thing.
Yes.
The other side is we're very challenging, rigorous. We have a challenging, rigorous curriculum, and there are a lot of demands put on the kids.
Yeah.
There can be a lot of social networking can provide another thing for the kids to hold on to and to really pull their attention away from studies, away from life at home. We don't think Pingree should replace home life, but social networking becomes something else that's really added to their list. And if it's not handled or managed well by the kids or at home, it can lead to a lot of stress.
Definitely. I mean, there is this tension, right? There's this positive aspect to social media that, especially for a school like ours, where kids are at a distance, they don't see each other on down the block as neighbors, right? So it actually allows for those relationships and friendships to happen.
Yep.
But then there is this downside that sometimes it could even accelerate the friction.
Yes.
Of relationships, of middle school type of relationships. But also, it is a distraction, right? How many times? I'm sure a lot of parents have seen this image
absolutely.
Of their kids at this point, this thing, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think there can be a couple of different things that when we're talking about social networking. One of the hot apps for our kids is Instagram.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. Kids can share experiences and pictures. What can sometimes happen is a student might see a picture on a feed that was taken at a party that the student wasn't invited to. And you talk about... and
sometimes that's intentional, and sometimes that's
unintentional. Absolutely. And then just the texting culture, we're seeing sort of a bleed into classroom life. Our kids are accustomed to communicating or saying what they want when they want to say it.
Oh, that's interesting.
So there's not as much of the wait time, listening to others. If I, if I have my own device, I can communicate whenever I want to. It doesn't matter. You have a lot of great things to say, but I can text on my time. It's.
So that translates into comments in the classroom and the decline.
Oh, absolutely. It sounds crazy to characterize it as a breakdown in civility, but in a sense, that's what's happening. We're not seeing the etiquette, the wait time, pausing, listening to someone else's contribution.
So that's a very interesting observation of how digital life is translating into offline life in the classrooms. So let's talk a little bit about, I guess, some of the things that might remedy that, or you had a whole slew of ideas and observations.
Sure. Well, these are only some, and there are people out there who are much more expert than I am. Centrally, I think parents need to be comfortable setting sensible limits. And that's a tough thing to do, too, with as busy as everyone is. Being the person to say no and to set limits can be really challenging.
It's not fun being that person.
Absolutely not. The parents want school to do it, and school would like parents to do it. So I think some things that would be really helpful for the kids in helping them attend and helping them develop better skills as human beings. Limit the smartphone use at home. When you get home, have certain times when you have designated family and study time. You got to put the phone away, and it's just got to be in some place that the kids don't have easy access.
So it's somewhat like the cubby system here at school.
Right. We have a cubby system here at Pingree, and where the middle schoolers come in the morning and they check in with their advisors, say good morning, and they put the phone away, and we have these over the door sort of shoe holders that the kids store their phones in for the day. But something similar to that, where you know where the phone is, and honestly force the kids to interact with you, with mom, dad, anybody at home in just a different way. But it's not just the phones.
Right.
It's screens in general. So I think laptops, when kids are working on laptops, doing homework, the screen should always face a public area.
Yeah.
If you're walking by, you can just do a quick check. And I'm not talking about lording over their shoulder, sitting next to them the entire time. Just places where you can just check in and help them. Because again, they're going to be stressed. They want to stay connected, but we also need them to unplug so they can focus on the work at hand and really sort of do the deep thinking that we're hoping that they're doing at home.
I mean, in our house, one of the general rules is that if you're computing, that you have the open door. In general.
Yep.
There are times when the other child is practicing music or doing something where you do need to close the door, but that's done in understanding or permission-based situation. So, but in general, you don't want to have a child, I think, behind closed doors for hours at a time, every day on a consistent basis where, you're not able to parent.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Now, all they said, this is great. What you also need to have the time, build in the time to have the check-ins with social media. Because you do want the kids to be able to text one another. They may have a question they have for homework. They may want to check the Instagram feed to see what the latest post is. And we do want to allow that. Yeah. So you build in blocks of time. So let's say, for the sake of a number, let's say 30 minutes. Homework for 30 minutes. Then you allow like 5-10 minute check-in time. Right, you got a break. Get a snack, say hello, check in the social network.
Everything in moderation. Right?
Absolutely.
Everything in moderation.
Absolutely.
What else? What else do you have on the list?
I think, one thing that I think parents seem really reluctant to do is to really check the contents of the phone. And by that, I don't mean sort of digging too deep, but know what your child is doing. Get to understand their online life. Get familiar with some of the apps. We've mentioned Instagram. Obviously, there's Facebook, which almost seems we don't have to mention it anymore. It's so present in our lives. Things like Snapchat, Vine is another really popular app. But sit down. Parents are paying for these apps. You're paying for the coverage. You're paying for the data. It's not only your right but your responsibility to just engage in conversations with your kids.
Sure. And I don't think it's not necessarily that you have to do it on a routine basis.
Right.
I think it's just setting up that relationship. That's to say, I'm the parent.
Absolutely.
And everything that you have, I should have access to any accounts you set up, any passwords you have.
Yep.
And just setting that tone and relationship, I think, is important.
It's not only important, it's critical.
Yeah.
And I think but even before you get to I'm the parent, I think you start with I love you, I care about you, and I want you to be safe. And in order for us to have this, and then you go from
there. And that this is a new digital world that we are doing this together. We're
Absolutely.
trying to figure these rules out together. Right?
Yeah. And I think it might even be fun to talk to your kids about. Hey, tell me about Snapchat.
Yeah.
I learned about this great app today, a parent coffee. Tell
Show
me
it to
about
me,
Vine.
right?
Show me Vine. Yeah. What's your favorite Vine video? And that could even be a fun place. You'll definitely get the eye roll, and your kids may be aghast that you're aware of these things. But to share that experience, and you might even show them a Vine video that you like.
Right.
And I think if the kids see that we have a facility with the apps and with social networking,
Definitely.
it gives us some credibility in talking with them.
Definitely.
So don't be afraid. I do think when it comes to it's a visual generation, and I think the primary directive to the kids, never assume that anything you post online is private.
Yeah.
I think whether it's a picture you take, video, audio clip, know that it exists forever, and that it can be seen or mined by anyone.
Yeah. The old saying is, well, old in the digital sense. Like Google has a memory of an elephant.
Right.
That decades later,
Right.
your pictures will show up somewhere.
Absolutely. Another thing that I think is important for the kids to keep in mind, for you to reinforce, is never say anything or do anything online through social media that you would not do or say in person if the person is ready. And I think that's really critical too. That our kids are human beings, and we want them to have a sense of humanity, decency, and treat other people. Talk about golden rule.
Yeah.
Treat other people as you would hope to be treated
Yeah.
yourself.
And that one, I think, keys into almost like the integrity issue of our honor code.
Absolutely.
That you want to live an integrated life that online and offline, that
Right.
you're going to represent yourself in a very similar fashion.
Right. I think in sort of the most the edgiest things that I think we've had to sadly deal with is really the issue of sexting, and students who either send or receive inappropriate pictures. It could be a picture of a student in any state of undress. And I think it's important for the kids to remember that New Jersey laws are clear and severe, and that if, for example, a student is to receive an inappropriate image, they could be held responsible for receiving pornography.
Right.
If they forward that message,
Then that's a whole other level.
whole other level, and that could be conceived as distribution of pornographic material. Nothing we want any of our kids involved with, and unfortunately, this is one of those downsides that technology can allow us to.
And that you don't get away with just a detention.
Oh no!
That literally serious consequences.
No, there are consequences, and that brings up something else that we haven't really touched on. It's sort of what's the school's role in all of this. We of course hope that our kids are living the values of the honor code outside of this building, and I think for the most part our kids do, and we're very blessed to have terrific kids. However, we also know that kids are kids and they're going to make mistakes and they're going to do some silly things that they're going to regret later. But the school's position on social networking in terms of the discipline process is if something is done online that impacts how a child feels at school, whether they feel safe, whether they feel valued, whether they feel their reputation has been damaged, and can hurt and impact them, how they function as a student here. The school, we do see that as our role to step in and try to bring that to a conclusion and bring some discipline to that situation.
I'm just so thankful that you had the opportunity to sit down with us and share with
Absolutely.
our parent
Thank
audience
you.
and community here. I appreciate it. I know you're very busy, and we'll get you back into the hallways of the middle school.
Sounds great. Thanks very much.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.